Dear colleagues, the Ukraine Crisis Media Center continues its work. And now we're going to speak about doing business rating. What place will Ukraine take this year? And I give the floor to the representative of the Ministry of Justice of Ukraine and also EasyBusiness project representative. Good afternoon, Yanchuk Anton, Deputy Minister of Justice, and today's meeting is dedicated to doing business and the rating of Ukraine in this and expectations as to positioning and the rating of next year and what steps should be taken in order to reach the highest rates. And firstly, I would like to focus attention on the rating and the uniqueness of high position of Ukraine. And the rating doing business is the rating that is carried out by the World Bank on the basis of survey of the businessmen of Ukraine through questionnaires according to 10 indicators. And this rating is conducted in 189 countries of the world yearly, and the group of World Bank gathers indicators from the countries till 1st June, and then form the system of assessment for the countries. And the position of the country in this rating is some sort of a visiting card for a country, and the indicator of quality and accessibility of the business in the country. And with the first approach of the investment prospect investor, he can decide whether to invest or not to invest in the country due to this rating. And this rating is formed among about 200 countries, and Ukraine is obliged to take high positions. The indicators of the rating, they are like hints for each state in which direction to move and reform its legislation in order to approach world standards. Key in this rating is that they assess effectiveness of legislation changes, that these changes are assessed by entrepreneurs, and the respondents is identified by the World Bank, and in this there is a value of this rating because this is an independent objective research. So today, on the 22nd of April, we have not much time till the deadline, but at the same time, we have enough time in order to adopt a package of legislation in order to take better place in this rating this year. And we should note what was done, what has been done already in order to improve positions in the next year. So, firstly, we should state that to be positioned in the rating of 2017, there was an introduction of electronic services of registration of the Ministry of Justice, reduction of procedures of registration, and decentralization of the functions of the state registration of business. Also, the Ministry of Justice recently introduced changes to the legislation, and the instruments were created, instruments of legal registration of property and other property rights. And at the same time, at the initiative of the Ministry of Justice, we introduced a novelty, the access of notaries to the state land cadastre, and also the opportunity to get excerpts from the decisions, and also the use of legislation in the part of absence that when the lands are bought and sold between legal and physical persons, some procedures were reduced, and also the rate of single social contribution was reduced. So this is the pool of legislation that will play a good role while Ukraine will be assessed in 2017 according to the rating of doing business. And the majority of these initiatives were introduced at the with the direct participation of the Ministry of Justice, and also there are other initiatives provided by the Ministry of Justice that were not adopted by the Parliament, but that can be technically and legally adopted till the end of May 2016, in order that these changes positively influence the rating of 2017. So this is a signal to motivate the participants of legislative process, and this is a signal to expert community and the Ministry of Justice, together with our partners and the EasyBusiness project. We provided analysis of the legislative initiatives and the draft laws and the stages of their preparedness, and we selected the packages of draft laws that are ready to be adopted and that are technically and legally can be reviewed by the Parliament and adopted till the end of May 2016. In order that the adoption positively influence the assessment of Ukraine in doing business rating 2017. We're speaking about 2506A, and these are drafts law that concerns the reform of the execution of court decision and the introduction of private executive service that will heighten the position of Ukraine in the doing business rating. And these draft laws were introduced in August 2015, and these draft laws were prepared by the Ministry of Justice but were introduced by the President of Ukraine. At the moment, there are all grounds for their adoption, and moreover, they can positively influence the position of Ukraine in doing business rating 2017. And also, we should state that there are some draft laws 3768, 3769. These draft laws allow to introduce mechanisms of electronic hearings, so the simplified system to impose fines that are carried out with the guarantees to all participants of court hearings, and that allow to unload the judicial court system and to simplify the procedures, and these issues can be carried out electronically, and also they help to improve the system of arrest of bank accounts as the means of that is important for the court hearings. And also the arrest on the demand of court will be possible in just several minutes after the decision is taken by the court without participation of any other person than judge. And this is very important signal for foreign investment concerning real action of the court in concerning taking decisions. And these draft laws, they will allow Ukraine to go up the rating, and it will increase the rating for 44 points, and it will go to 54th place, and it is a good step, and it is reached exclusively by adopting this law till end of May 2016. And also, we selected a group of laws that can positively influence the positions of Ukraine in rating. 3132 that introduces changes to the bankruptcy procedures, and this is a product of the Ministry of Justice and the Committee of the Supreme Council, and it was criticized by experts, and now we believe it is ready for adoption by the Parliament. And also, this is draft law 3665 on mediation, and this draft law is awaited by society, and it will be positively assessed by the bank experts and the placement of Ukraine in doing business rating, and draft law 24686A that will provide the mechanisms for circulation of primary documentation of financial and accountants documentation, and simplification of activities in the sphere of accounting. And so this is the product of the work of the Ministry of Justice with the expert community and with the International Monetary Fund. And these draft laws, they are ready for adoption till the May this year, and if they are adopted, they can increase the position of Ukraine in doing business rating. And lastly, I would like to say that these draft laws, if they are adopted, in any case will positively influence on the position of Ukraine in rating. The difference is only when this influence take place. If they are adopted till the end of May, then Ukraine will increase its positions in 2017. And if these draft laws will be adopted later, this will influence positively on the rating. But in doing business rating and in 2018, so on average, arithmetically, 1+ position of the state equals 150 dollars of investment. So the difference in a year in rating means that we will create opportunities till the end of May to get new investment to the economy of Ukraine, or we create this opportunity, but only in a year. And current situation, economic situation in Ukraine shows, and that we should use this opportunity. If this opportunity exists now, we should use it. And if these draft laws are ready for adoption, they should be adopted, and there should be created an opportunity to increase the position of Ukraine in the rating, and as a consequence, there should be created an opportunity for the additional investment to the economy of Ukraine. And this is a package of projects that are ready for adoption at 100% benefit to Ukraine. And at the same time, we formed a secondary package of draft laws, and these are draft laws that will positively influence the position of Ukraine in the rating, but they are not in the same stage of readiness, and we believe that also to pay attention to them. And in the context of the second block of the draft laws, I would like to give the floor to my colleague to continue the discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Andriy Yerashov. I'm project manager and partner of the civil society EasyBusiness, together with a number of ministries. First of all, in the Ministry of Justice, we are working in order to improve the business climate in Ukraine. And indeed, the doing business rating is very important. Unfortunately, not everybody understands its importance. They believe that those novelties which we are introducing in Ukraine, that somehow they can have a negative effect in the situation here. It was very indicative if we are talking about the voting in the parliament of Ukraine about the private. We are talking about the draft law 26. 06 and 07A, both of them, and the MPs passed the decision that doing business rating, first of all, actually demonstrate the best practices in the world. And those practices, they actually ensure a positive, first of all, for the citizens of those countries where it works, You can easily collect cover the indebtedness which you have, so it's a big positive feature, not a negative one. So statistics today demonstrate that only 6% of the decisions are implemented or fulfilled within the necessary terms, and 94% according to the effective law. This is awful and a scary figure, which makes everybody to go to the executive agencies and ask them to do something about that, to do whatever they have to do. Also, would like to draw attention to a number of the draft laws which really, which they focus their attention to Verkhovna Rada, and those are really very important. They are easily understood. Take in consideration the number of the people who were involved in this process, different ministries, expert society, expert community, many professionals in the issues of bankruptcy, for example. They say that those laws, one case said that they're really perfect and they have to be adopted and implemented. So I would like to draw attention to a number of the draft laws which are really already ready for consideration or adoption. Some of them have been submitted to the cabinet ministers for their consideration. Taking into consideration that the composition of cabinet ministers was changed recently. If we are talking about the law on the authorized economic operators, draft laws which actually went through all these stages, but unfortunately they were not submitted to the Verkhovna Rada for the MP's consideration. Only one of them actually made its way there. Some technical, according to the regulations, they had to be returned for reconsideration or revisit. Unfortunately, today the situation with those draft laws is as follows. Indeed, they were submitted to the new cabinet of ministers for them then to send them to the parliament of Ukraine, but the cabinet ministers' employees who've been working for a long time and they monitor not so much the correctness of the draft laws, but but whether they stick to the technical aspects of submission. According to the information we have, they're going to send back to the central executive authorities to revisit them or maybe to reconsider them to follow the procedures exist today. This will take more 2 or 3 more months, and this is a really bad situation. So that's why I would like to address the Prime Minister of Ukraine and ministers to do everything possible to avoid such situation, because a number of the draft laws which are absolutely necessary, among other things, for the business, they are being blocked in this way, And take into consideration our international commitments undertaken by our country we have to follow the correct way and not to be involved or plunge into bureaucracy and red tape. Also, I would like to draw attention to some of the progressive draft laws which the Prime Minister focused his attention on. He said that we need the reform in the sphere of customs service, and we have a problem there. We are talking about radiological radiation surveillance and control procedure. This procedure more is rather formalistic, and it's corruption related associated, and there are the best practices in the world when this kind of control is delegated, I mean, to the customs officers. Also, would like to draw attention to draft laws which are rather daring today to
меняется вообще
talking about the amendments to be introduced into the law on the electric power. We are talking about connecting to the electric power grids, because those grids today belong, in fact, to private persons, and under our legislation in force, anybody who would like to make connections or connect to the grids, not only they have to take care of building those grids or networks, and then have to present that to somebody else, and you have actually to make a present to them when you're going to use the electric power. This is an absolutely incorrect position from the point of view of business or some points issues of morality. That's why we would like to ask the cabinet ministers to support this draft law, so that the electric power transmission companies, they have to construct or to build those power electric network or grid, so that you never face any problems with the connection. This is the problem of those who is responsible for connecting you to those grids or networks. All those above-mentioned draft laws, they actually are in line with the resolution of the cabinet ministers of October 16, 2015, and the plan of actions which are required in order to improve the Ukrainian doing business rating. We have the next succession in 2017. Ukraine has to hit or to enter the top 50 countries in this rating, doing business rating. In 2015, it has to make its place to the 20 best according to this rating. But unfortunately, according to the information we have today, we are not going to hit that target. But if we pass those draft laws which were mentioned by my colleague from the Ministry of Justice, of course, in this case, we are going to stick to that schedule, and maybe into 2018 we'll find a place among the 50 best countries according to the doing business rating. Thank you. Are there any questions? I have one question. Maybe I did not hear that, or I was not too attentive. Can you say about the number of those draft laws which have to be approved or adopted by June the 1st? Do you have any statistics which of those draft laws are already reached the final lack of consideration? Or no? I understand that not all of them can be signed or adopted or voiced for, voted for within 2 days, but maybe you have this kind of information, you or your colleague from the Ministry of Justice. Thank you for your question. Actually, if you are talking about the number of those draft laws, we believe those are 7. 2506A and 2507A, those draft laws actually were adopted in the first reading. They absolutely prepared to be adopted in the second reading. So the time allows to do that without any haste, till the end of May of this year. Also, 3768 and 3769, those draft laws have not been yet adopted in the first reading, but we believe that this is possible to do that. The more so that there was a lot of discussion around those draft projects, and they came through the council justice, whatever, involving the expert missions of IMF, and they actually meet the requirements of the best world practice. Also, 3132 draft law, which has been in existence for a long time now. We are talking about the bankruptcy procedures. They've been working, in the profile committee of the rather, they were working on that. In our opinion, this draft law is absolutely ready to be adopted. This draft law, like the previous draft laws, were submitted in due time to the parliament, and then they disappeared for some reasons. And so we do hope that they will reappear in the parliament again and will be voted for. 3665, the law on mediation, or draft law on mediation, we cannot say that this has reached this level of preparedness the previous ones. But anyway, if we're talking about the level of this preparedness, allows us to think that it could be ready for adoption by the end of May this year. And 2486A, the seventh in chronology, and I would like to ask my colleague to comment about his preparedness. But the general understanding that this draft laws can also be adopted by the end of May. So I understand that the majority of those draft laws which are critical, the adoption which is critical in order to improve the Ukrainian doing business rating, most of them are the initial stage, right? The first reading stage. Do I understand you correctly or not? Or maybe they were not included in the agenda for consideration. No, the majority of those draft laws, those are not those new draft laws. They were actually submitted in the last year yet regarding the execution of the judicial judgments or court judgments. They went through the first readings, The procedure of their adoption and consideration, the stage of their discussion around those draft laws gives us the grounds to say that they could be adopted by the end of May, if there is goodwill to do that. Also, I would like to draw attention to the fact that today we are talking about 22 draft laws, which indeed can affect the situation in Ukraine and give Ukraine a chance to be part of the top 50 countries according to this rating. But some of the draft laws which have been submitted by some of the MPs, they actually require some revisiting and more to be elaborated on. And we are talking about those draft laws which are in the way of nobody, and they can really be adopted and improve the situation in Ukraine if you are talking about the doing business rating. Thank you very much. Let's wish all of us success, and we do hope that we are going to have positive and constructive actions on the part of the MPs in Parliament, and we hope that we are going to have the necessary impetus to improve our position of our country in the doing business rating. Thank you very much. This exhausts our agenda for today in the UCMC. Please follow our